JSA the World, Episode 1.12, The Preparation. While the people were celebrating and enjoying the action in the movie, the emergency broadcast station appeared on the air with that group showing up. It killed the entire mood of the festivity as an unexpected guest appeared on screen. Good evening, old friends. This is your acquaintance, Kali speaking. First off, I'd like to congratulate you all for making it this far without quitting, said Kali. What are you thinking? Exclaimed Nathaniel. Do you know how much we went through to get this far? You literally turned the entire world against us. You're welcome, he replied snidely. You see, I wanted you to see how it feels to finally get a sample of what I myself went through when you and your band of rejects did what they did. Listen, I constantly told you, replied Nathaniel. I had nothing to do with that decision they made. They did that without my consent. What's the first and foremost rule of leadership? Asked Ali. When something in your organization goes wrong, everything is your fault. I'm surprised you didn't know that, considering your success in taking my position. But it's fine, really. I'm over it. When the day of rebirth arrives, I'll recreate a world in which JSA never exists, and the Borg shall reign as the masters of the new world order. So you think you're a complete god? Asked Nathaniel. Of course not, replied Khalid. However, the moment we attained the last crystal, your fates were already sealed. Hold on. I thought the emerald was retrieved at our base, said Christine. What happened? Ah, that's an excellent question, miss. It appears your friends got the two emeralds mixed up and locked the fake in your facility and the actual emerald in a suburban home. Whose home, you asked? It was that boy's over there, replied Khalid. Hey, no need to be embarrassed. Regardless if it was at the base or not, I had one of my agents stationed within JSA from the beginning. So does this mean that does that mean it was your men who were pulling the strings behind everything? Asked Ike. Like what happened at the Moonlight Festival? What are you talking about? Replied Khalid. Me nor my men had anything to do with that fiasco. But since we're playing Q&A, how did you like that surprise guest that came for a visit a few days ago? You mean that black drone? Replied Ike. Yeah, I took it down. Got any more? Twice his arrogance, replied Khalid. Well, in that case, yes. In fact, an entire fleet ready to tear you all limb from limb. You'll need a fleet, and then some more when we're through with you, exclaimed Ike. Whoa, since when did Ike man up like that, thought Raven. Is this even him? Talk to Mavork's leader like that? This is why I can't stand naive little brats, said Khalid. Anyways, I've been keeping a close surveillance on you and your team, Nathaniel. I exerted all their skills up until this point, which is why I occasionally disperse those infantile constructs or Nethesis tone as her sole owner. 2 questions. So, were you the one behind those beings like the werewolf Houdini and Silhouette? Asked Justin. And what about Nethys? I thought the orc construct was just a myth. Yes, those things you fought were artificial constructs animated from my Da Vinci tone. And Nethys is by no means a myth. In fact, she's the centerpiece of our organization. Are we done playing Q&A now? Replied Khalid. If so, I'll be lifting the brainwashing spell from the world, so you all can catch a moment's reprieve until the day of rebirth. Oh, and Nate, since you think life is a game, I'll upload this puzzle for you. When you crack this riddle, it will reveal the day of our impending invasion as well as your demise, old friend. You all have the rest of the day prior to the invasion to give it some thought. Until then, farewell, we'll be waiting for you. Ali ends his transmission as the movie resumes. All members, head to the Mission Control Center at once, said Nathaniel. He said he uploaded a puzzle to our mainframe that revealed the day of the invasion. See if you can pull it up, Ike. Right, Ike replied, as he and Isa frantically searched the computer's database. After a few minutes, he found the folder and clicked on the file that contained the puzzle. As he loaded the file, it appeared to be in the form of a numerical puzzle, a Word document full of random numbers. When the guy said it was a puzzle, he sure meant it. Said, it's a whole page full of jumbled up numbers. That makes no sense, explained Isa. Hold on, let me try something. Isa selected a few numbers and pasted them to the internet to see if they meant anything. Unfortunately, the internet couldn't search for it, instead to try again. Hey, what if these things need to be placed in a specific order to find what it is, stated Justin. Ike then grouped all the ones and zeros in separate sides of the screen to see if anything could pop up, but that turned out to be useless. Listen, I'll do my best and try to decipher this code, said Isa. Actually, come back to the headquarters tomorrow and I'll actually have it for you then. You sure you got it, miss? Asked Ed. I'm positive, she replied. You guys should get going. Besides, Khalid already said that he lifted the brainwashing so we could get back to our normal lives till the day of birth. But I wonder if that'll be enough time to prepare for their invasion, replied Ike. Alright, I guess we'll have to leave for you then. See ya, said Bruce. As everyone else boarded the helicopter to go back home. The next day, everyone returned to their normal lives as if nothing happened. Nothing about JSA ever happened. Even though they've been gone for about 2 weeks, the people didn't remember any of their actions. Everything seemed like a normal, ordinary day. Afterwards, the team headed to the center to see if Ike deciphered the puzzle yet. When they arrived to the base floor, Nathaniel was already waiting on them. Quickly! You all have to hurry, he exclaimed. Everyone quickly rushed towards the computer room to find Ike finished deciphering the puzzle. It turns out, after a sleepless night, they're going to invade us on February 28th, stated Ike. So that means we only have close to 2 months to get ready, right? Asked Aaron. Exactly. But he said he was going to invade us with his army of pseudos so he could awaken the rebirth of the world, replied Ike. That's crazy, explained Raven. How are we supposed to deal with something this big? We gotta find a way to tell people about this. There is, replied Nathaniel. In fact, in January, I'm supposed to head to DC to discuss the uprising of the Mabort again. But this time, we know when they're supposed to attack. Ike, bring me out the results so I can show this to the others. Yes, sir, replied Ike as he made a copy of the results. Thank you. You've truly been a great help. Since Christmas is only about 3 days away, I only want you all to stay safe and spend as much time with your friends and family as you can. I have to leave my family to try to contact all the VIPs and officers to discuss the next meeting, said Nathaniel. Thanks you all. Stay safe and have a Merry Christmas. Year 2011. The team left and wished Nathaniel a Merry Christmas also. Hey, you know he's been doing this to us constantly, giving us days off, making us rest like we're little kids and stuff, said Aaron. I don't know, replied Christine. Maybe he's trying to protect us or something. Personally, I found our days off. So, these next few days, I'm off to do some Christmas shopping, replied Raven. The friends all began to discuss their Christmas plans for the holidays as they go their separate ways. So far, so good. Everyone went their separate ways and they enjoyed all their Christmas breaks with their friends and family alike. When January rolled around, Nathaniel went to DC to discuss the Mabort's invasion date, which evidently turned into more outbursts, arguments, and fights. Nathaniel made up his mind that he wasn't going to dismiss himself from the meeting this time, because if he did, then there definitely won't be anything or anyone to help JSA out with their mission to defeat the Mabort. So Nathaniel finally got their attention with an extremely loud air horn and gave the people a heartfelt plea that eventually got the military forces to help them out. Nathaniel finally texted everyone his results, saying that he got the military to join JSA in the fight against the Mabort. In return, the JSA members also tell Nathaniel that even though the Khalid lifted the brainwashing from the masses, the people still trust the Mabort's words to wisdom and are still somewhat skeptical of JSA. Reassuringly, Nathaniel replies telling them not to worry because after this they were gaining the trust they had once people found out who and what the Mabort actually are and how they'll manage to stop them. they become local heroes. However, during the meeting, Cully sent a tiny probe to spy at the meeting in DC and watched the recorded playback with his servant. Oh, Nate, you're way too predictable, laughed Cully. It's just like you to go run and tell when dealing with something still mysterious. Nephis, are my men ready to go? Yes, sir, Nephis replied. My oracles and I have just finished creating them and the entire fleet of drones at your disposal. However, sir, there's one more thing. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I think we should... Maybe stop you right there, interrupted Khalid. Since you've apparently forgotten who and what you are, let me remind you. You are a construct. You do not think. Your job is to do what I say, when I say, with no opinions. Do you understand? Yes, sir, replied Nephis as Khalid glared at her for the longest. Khalid then cooled off and came back to his senses, approaching her saying, I apologize for my offer. I know you mean well, but JSA and the military are coming at us, and I'd rather fight them over there than over here where our family is. Right now, I can't lose you. You're my most valuable partner here. Khalid then comes to Nephis' embrace asking for her forgiveness, which she humbly accepts and states that when that day comes, she'll fight with them to the very end. Later on, Nephis leads Khalid to the balcony in the rear castle, where he sees countless pseudo-soldiers marching off as Flint counts and other strong pseudo drill every single one of the soldiers. Khalid even saw the giant fleet of drones approaching from the sky and land in the back. Yes, this is the vast army I waited for, expressed Khalid. I could never repay you for this magnificent gift. You're too kind, sir, replied Nephis. However, there is one more thing I must add. In order for you to control a number of pseudo at this magnitude, it's mandatory that you join them. What do you mean by joining them? Asked Khalid. I'm saying you have to become the strongest pseudo in order to gain the full absolute control of your army. Regretfully, in your current state as a human, this many pseudo will be hard to control, and many of them will start to rebel. However, as a head pseudo, you'll have the unquestionable power and order you've been looking for. Very well, but how do I become a pseudo? And what else do I gain from doing it? Asked Khalid. This orb I fostered for eons will make you the strongest pseudo in existence, replied Nephis. All you have to do is allow me to implant it within you, and that'll be it. About a week passed, and the whole world got a view of the Mavori's gigantically, greatly intimidating army. The world news expressed how powerful and fierce the Mavoric appeared. They were also curious to know what this new army's motives were. The staff at JSA reported to Nathaniel that Khalid had full knowledge of the meeting at DC and is retaliating by increasing their numbers. Sir, this is going to result in being an all-out war between JSA and the Mavoric. How do you suggest we approach this? Asked one staff member. Yeah, they'll kick their tails. That's what happens, exclaimed Nathaniel. He then gathered all the ranks of JSA for yet another mandatory meeting. In short, Nathaniel basically discusses the Mavoric's increasing digits, and that he and his research team figured out how they created more pseudo. We did some research and saw that the pseudo gathered most of their blood by masquerading as people who operate the Montero mobile blood drive, where they use the donated blood to create large amounts of pseudo, stated one of the researchers. Justin remembers all the way back to that Saturday when he stopped by donating blood for free food. He realized that the young lady he fantasized over was Nephis right in front of them. She went undercover as a nurse in that mobile blood drive that day, explained Justin. That genius, exclaimed Nathaniel. Only she would be able to masquerade as in a blood drive where no one would be able to suspect her. In fact, while we were fighting those constructs, they animated Nephis in the pseudo while gathering more and more pseudo this entire time. So all this time, we were basically pawns in Khalid's entire scheme, asked Dante. Yeah, I can't believe we didn't realize it sooner, exclaimed Ed. Wait, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, explained Nathaniel. Since our enemies basically had us marked up until now, I scraped up enough DeMiro to invest in a newer training facility. As he talks, he specifically tells everyone else besides Justin and his group to try the new training area in the base floor of the center. The area is fully functional, where individuals can train in a very high-tech virtual world and fight enemies and bad guys from previous encounter. When Nathaniel dismisses everyone, Justin's normal group runs toward the brand new training area. Hey, there's something I want to ask, said Justin. Why did you exclude me from the training in the area? I thought I was doing pretty good. I didn't exclude you from anything, replied Nathaniel. But I was saying that you training there would be a waste of time. Besides, I received word of your abilities before you even joined JSA, replied Nathaniel. And personally, I feel those skills of yours prior to you joining exactly what we need to take down them aboard. What skills? Asked Justin. God, if you haven't figured it out by now, you'll probably get it when you leave the parking lot, replied Nathaniel. Later, while the three brothers leave the center, Justin has an epiphany and remembers the skills he had when he was trying out. He left us during his first few days of school. Bruce, Aaron, I have an idea, exclaimed Justin out of the blue. What time is it? Is after school care still going on at school? Bro, chill, it's just turned 4 p.m., replied Bruce. We need to get to school ASAP. You'll see exactly what I'm about to do, replied Justin. Dude, this is very important because the game's coming on in 30 minutes, replied Aaron. Yes, all I need is 10 minutes. Quick, get in, get out kind of thing, explained Justin. Bruce drops Justin off at the school and tells him that he's got 10 minutes exactly. Before that happens, Bruce, I need you to use your electric powers to temporarily shut off the school's power, said Justin. Man, what are you trying to do? Asked Bruce and Aaron. I just need to get to the chemistry lab and in the gym without getting caught. Is that too much to ask for? The more you stay here, the more Aaron misses the game, replied Justin. But just snap his fingers. Bruce manages to cause a blackout in the school. Justin enters the front door of the building with ease and sneaks upstairs to the chemistry lab. As expected, the door is locked, so he phases into a puddle of water and slides through the cracks of the door. Once in, he opens the chemical cabinet where he finds various chemicals and elements. He takes the canister of gunpowder, a few jugs of flammable liquid, a giant bag of dry ice, and some frozen liquid nitrogen. Once he found what he was looking for, he then headed to the gymnasium. The janitor mistakenly left the door to the gym wide open. He left the closets open as well, which he made the job all the more easier. He grabbed the coach's signature gauntlet, a bow, and some arrows from the archery club. Justin then ran back out right before the janitor noticed anything. Justin then all the necessary supplies back in the garbage bag and returned to Bruce and Aaron. See, came back in 10 minutes, explained Justin. Later, the others continued to stay a little bit longer at the center. Ed redid his magic clowns. Noel and Raven redid their fight with Noel. Lastly, I simulated Magic Flint to see if he ended up finding him later on. It's real that Flint's power is chaos. The ability to make things violently break or be destroyed. In their battle, Flint proved to be a powerful, but Ike later on found a strategy to his moves, using his very own signature powers to fight against Data Flint. At the house, Justin puts most of the stuff in his closet, hidden away. Then he puts liquid nitrogen in the dry ice in a separate freezer in the garage under some other stuff. Well, later, Justin grabs his phone and makes a quick call to Matthew. After 2 full weeks of school, resting and training, Nathaniel calls them off in one last time, telling them to spend the 25th and 27th at the JSA Center with him. Everyone figured out that since Monday would be the day of the invasion, it'd be good once in a while to spend the weekend together. Nate then tells them to tomorrow the military will be evacuating the civilians out into a safer area. This, is to ask the others to various other things. Justin and the entire team decided to finally check the new training ground. To their surprise, the training zone was as if they were fighting a retro reality game where you could fight old rivals or completely new made-up ones. Then, before they knew it, it was lights out. When Sunday came, Nathaniel told everyone to just rest today. No training, no going out, no partying, just sleeping. Because when 2 a.m. hits, you won't be able to get a chance to sleep no matter how much you want to, instructed Nathaniel. Elsewhere, the Borg's troops line up before they take off in the drones. To the soldiers anxious, a long way to battle, caused the superiors to stand on a brief mark. Ladies and gentlemen, it's war! Thousands of pseudo rejoiced and exclaimed their enthusiasm for the grand finale. Countless pseudo flew into fleets to get to their destination one by one. Nessus, it's time, stated Khalid. Yes, I'm on it. Nessus replies. I can't wait to run into those grass again, exclaimed Klaus. It's payback time. With interest. Save some of that payback for me. I can't wait to see how good I got now, replied Flint. Soon, Khalid and his fellow pseudo all flew to the U.S. to the capital of JSA's city. Back at the center, the team is resting up and watching the news of the military continues to evacuate everyone from the battlefield. Seriously, this makes me wonder how bad this is going to be when tomorrow hits, expressed Raven. I'm a little nervous. Okay, this has been the 12th chapter of JSA The World, titled The Preparation. The next chapter, in next episode, will be titled The Day of Rebirth. So like always, don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thank you all for listening.